Welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing winter recipes that are on a budget. So all of these recipes will be under £1 per person or per serving. Some of them are cheaper than £1, some of them are around £1. And they're hopefully something interesting, something new that maybe you've not tried before. Roxy is joining me. This one you're seeing here is a delicious puff pastry with a really tasty vegetable inside. So hopefully this can help you if you're trying to be on a budget with the food at the minute, because obviously costs are soaring, and they're all plant-based and vegan. They're also all listed down below so you can follow along with them, and that will have details on the ingredients, the method, as well as any notes or any sort of substitutions you can make. So let's get straight into the recipes. So for this recipe, we're going to be making a winter veg gratin using Brussels sprouts, Savoy cabbage, and broccoli, so lots of yummy green winter vegetables. And we're going to start by halving the Brussels sprouts, chopping up our broccoli and our Savoy cabbage. Now I'm adding the 250 grams of Brussels sprouts, the head of broccoli and half of a Savoy cabbage into a large pan of boiling water, and then we'll bring it back to a boil and cook this for about 5 minutes. And now they've been drained, I'm just refreshing them under some cold water. So we're going to make our breadcrumbs first before we do our sauce, just so it's ready to go. So we've got 2 slices of bread, and then I'm going to use half of the nutritional yeast, which I think I'll put it on screen in a minute. I've forgotten how much this is, but I'm gonna use half of it. And then some paprika and cayenne pepper, blend that all together, and that'll cover our lovely gratin. I'm gonna mix around 2 heaped tablespoons of corn flour with a touch of milk, just to form a paste before I put it in the pan, because it stops it from going as lumpy. So now we're going to make our creamy sauce. In a pan over medium heat, we're going to add in butter and milk and stir that and mix it together until boiling. And then we're going to be adding in our corn flour mixture that we just made and whisking it. And then adding in some flavour, some salt and pepper, some mustard and nutritional yeast. So let's get started with our butter. Now we're going to add in our corn flour mixture and make sure to whisk continuously until it thickens, making sure that you don't burn the bottom. Now we're going to add in the rest of the nutritional yeast and mustard. And then we're going to add salt and pepper. So we're going to add our vegetables into a large dish. Tomatoes, and then I've just added in 2 tins of pinto beans, but you can use whatever beans you would like. And we're going to bake this in the oven at 200 degrees for 30 minutes until golden brown. This recipe is basically a lazy version of apple crumble. Not that apple crumble is particularly difficult, but if you just want to be doing it really quickly in one pan and have it just individually, especially if you're someone who just wants to make enough crumble just for you or you and your partner, you don't want to have to make a big crumble, this is ideal. I've got some apples from our garden. but you can use cooking apples, dessert apples, and some muesli. That makes it a little bit simpler, and just a few little toppings like nuts, butter, desiccated coconut, and some sweetener. So this, like all the other recipes, is under £1 per person per serving. I'll put on screen how much exactly it is per serving. And yeah, it's very simple and easy to adapt with stuff you have in your cupboard, because I feel like these are ingredients you might already have. If you don't have muesli, you can just use porridge oats. Most of us probably have some nuts in the cupboard, and all the rest are sort of sweeteners and things like that. So it should be a really great budget-friendly meal. 1 tablespoon into one frying pan, and 2 tablespoons into the other. This will be for the crumble, and this will be for the apples. The point of this is that we can cook our apples quickly on one side, our crumble on the other side, and when they're both cooked, we can just layer them up in bowls individually. It makes things really easy and really quick, and you don't have to preheat the oven or anything. It's just an alternative. Flicking water everywhere. It's just an alternative way to do it. And then adding a tablespoon of caster sugar to our apple mixture, and a dash of water, around 2 tablespoons. To the crumble pan, we're adding 100 grams of unsweetened muesli, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of desiccated coconut, 2 tablespoons of chopped nuts, this can be any nuts, teaspoon of cinnamon, and a tablespoon of maple syrup. I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of extra cinnamon. You don't have to do this, but I just absolutely love cinnamon. And then we're just going to put this all over the top. This recipe is also another budget recipe under £1 per serving, and it's a vegetable puff pastry turnover. Ultra simple and easy, and you can use whatever veg you want inside the little puff pastry. So it's more of a principle of an idea. It'd be perfect if you've got veg that's like on its last legs and you need to use it up. We're using some cavolo nero kale, some mushrooms, and some leek, but you could swap this for spinach or other types of green vegetables like cabbage. Basically anything you could put inside these pastries and they'd be delicious. So we're going to chop up all of our veg, starting with a leek. And then we've got around 60 grams of kale, which I'm just removing the stalks from. We're adding some leeks into a frying pan with olive oil. Now we're adding around 60 grams of mushrooms chopped. You can use whatever mushrooms. And we'll cook these until they are softened. Now we're blanching our kale just for a few minutes in boiling water. Darling, you've got to... We're now mixing the zest of a lemon into our vegetables. A punnet or 200 grams of hummus, a small handful of chopped parsley, if you try to get some sleep, if you give up the fight. Whoa, this is tiny. We're now slicing a roll of puff pastry into 4. We're going to add our sliced potato, leaving enough room around the edge for a border. And then we're going to add our vegetable mixture on top. And brush the edges with milk and fold. That's too much. There's a new day to take away your sorrow. Old ways get washed out by the rain. And we're going to bake these in the oven for 25 to 30 minutes at 200 degrees Celsius. These are so beautifully. These are possibly the prettiest little puff pastries ever. I would probably sit down and eat these, obviously with a knife and fork, maybe with a side salad or something, but I'm just gonna dig in like a little hand pie. It's gonna be messy, but I just feel like for the video, this is appropriate. Oh my God, they're so hot. This is gonna burn my mouth. I really hope that this recipe has given you ideas to make vegetable pastries like this year round. So whatever is seasonal, whatever time you're watching this, whatever time of year you're watching this, it doesn't have to be a winter vegetable puff pastry. You could fill this with summer vegetables or other vegetables that you love the taste of. This would taste so good with some roasted red peppers or like squash. There are just so many different options you can do. You can also swap out the hummus for other things, like you could make a vegan creamy cheese sauce. I do have a vegan nacho sauce, which I feel like could work quite well in there. Broccoli, you could put broccoli in there. There are so many different things. You could blend up some, like I said, like cashews and nutritional yeast and mix that through. Endless options, and hopefully it's something that you can use. I feel like if you are running out of ingredients in your fridge and you've got vegetable that needs to be used up, I feel like this is ideal for that, because you've always got pastry hanging about, or at least I do. I always buy pastry and store it in the freezer and then defrost it so that you can make things like this easily and quick. You just shove it in the oven and your dinner's ready. So yeah, I hope you give this one a try. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please let me know if you're going to be trying any of these recipes in the comments down below. As I mentioned at the start, and as always, all the recipes are listed on my website with any notes that you can follow. And please make sure that when you're trying these recipes, adapt them to your personal needs, especially as they're budget recipes. If you have vegetables or food in your cupboards already to use, you can switch things up. They don't have to be done by the letter, and that's really going to help with budgeting and saving money on your food prices. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe and let me know if you want to see more videos like this. I can make it into a series of budget recipes, and I'll see you in my next video.